By age 80, you may have lost half your muscle. But what if I told you, you can reverse that, starting with just one habit a day? Hi, I'm Dr. James, clinical physician and researcher, and today we're exploring 7 daily habits that can restore strength, balance, and freedom to older adults. This isn't theory. It's science-backed. And it's personal. Have you ever watched an old man stand up from his chair with ease, his back straight, and his steps purposeful, and wondered, how? Not in pity, but in awe. I met one such man on a cold winter morning outside a small cafe in Colorado Springs. He was 82, and had just cycled 30 miles through snow-dusted streets. When I asked him what kept him going, he laughed and said, "Most people prepare for dying after 70. I'm still preparing for living." That conversation never left me. We've been told a dangerous story about aging. It goes something like this. As you grow older, your muscles shrink, your energy fades, and your independence erodes. That's just the way it is. But it's not true. Or at least, not entirely. What we call normal aging is, in many ways, the result of modern lifestyles, not biology alone. The culprit behind much of this decline has a name: sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength with age. By the time most people reach their 80s, they may have lost up to 50% of their muscle mass. But here's what's never said out loud. Sarcopenia is not just a medical condition, it's a mirror of how we've treated our bodies for decades. You don't lose strength because you're 70. You lose it because of 40 years of sitting too much, eating too little protein, and never learning how to challenge your muscles the right way. By your 30s, you begin losing about 3 to 8% of your muscle every decade. If you're inactive, that number skyrockets. And by the time you're 70, it feels like your body is betraying you, but it's not. It's just responding to disuse. One of my patients, a former school teacher named Grace, once told me, "I thought walking to the mailbox every day was enough to stay strong." It wasn't. She slipped on her porch at age 74 and broke her hip. What Grace needed wasn't just movement. She needed targeted, intentional resistance, the kind that rebuilds what life slowly takes away. Why do some people in their 80s still hike, dance, swim, and garden for hours, while others can barely get out of a chair? It's not just about good genes. It's about habits. Modern research is clear. Muscle loss is preventable. In many cases, it's reversible. You can rebuild strength even if you're starting in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. I've witnessed it firsthand. John, a 79-year-old ex-firefighter, regained the ability to carry groceries and walk uphill unaided after just 10 weeks of smart resistance training and nutritional changes. He told me, "Doc, I feel like I've aged in reverse. What breaks my heart most is how uninformed the average senior is." Over 90% of older adults don't know what sarcopenia is. More than 80% have never been told by a doctor how to maintain muscle after retirement. And perhaps most alarmingly, many think muscle loss is irreversible, like a curse of time. This is not just a medical issue. It's a societal failure. We teach people how to save for retirement, but not how to train for it. And the cost? Loss of independence. Isolation. Hospital visits after falls. Nursing home admissions. But here's the message I tell every patient who walks into my clinic with stooped posture and tired eyes: you are not fragile. You are not finished. You are just undertrained. The truth is, aging is not a sentence. It's an invitation. An invitation to challenge your body in new ways. An invitation to nourish it smarter. An invitation to become the strongest, most resilient version of yourself, at any age. Imagine being 75 and squatting your body weight. Imagine dancing at your granddaughter's wedding at 88. Imagine needing no help to live the life you choose. That's not fantasy. That's what the right habits make possible. In the next part, we'll explore something surprising, the kind of stress that doesn't break you, but builds you. We'll talk about cold showers, fasting windows, isometric holds, and why discomfort, done right, might be the missing fountain of youth you've never heard of. Because if there's one secret that superagers share, it's this: they don't avoid effort. They embrace it, and come out stronger. Let's step into that world, together. You can't become stronger without a little stress. That's not just wisdom, that's biology. We left off on a bold idea, that aging is an invitation, not a decline. But the question still lingers: what exactly are we being invited into? The answer, surprisingly, is not more comfort. It's controlled discomfort. A scientific kind. A healing kind. Let me introduce you to one of the most misunderstood yet powerful ideas in modern aging science. Hormetic stress. You've likely never heard this term in a casual conversation, and yet, you've probably experienced it. The jolt of alertness after a cold shower. The calm after a sauna session. the unexpected clarity after skipping a meal or two. These aren't just coincidences. They are windows into how your body adapts, repairs, and grows stronger, not despite stress, but because of it. This concept, hormesis, comes from the Greek word hormai, meaning to excite or set in motion. In plain terms, it's a small dose of something difficult, just enough to signal the body. Wake up. Strengthen. Adapt. Think of a vaccine, a tiny exposure that trains your system to be stronger. Hormetic stress works the same way. When used right, it doesn't wear you down. It wakes up your mitochondria. It triggers muscle repair. It activates genes linked to longevity and resilience. I once had a patient named Linda. She was 68 and struggling with energy, chronic pain, and early signs of muscle loss. Her meds weren't helping. Physical therapy wasn't helping. On a whim, and with medical clearance, we tried something different. 30 seconds of cold water at the end of her shower, every morning. Within 2 weeks, she reported less fatigue. By week 4, she was walking longer distances without pain. By month 3, she had reduced 2 medications and was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. Was it a miracle? No. It was hormesis in action. The cold water triggered a wave of internal repair, including spikes in adiponectin, a hormone that helps preserve muscle and burn fat. Let's break it down. 1. Cold exposure, 30 to 60 seconds at end of shower. Boosts adiponectin. Increases mitochondrial efficiency. Activates norepinephrine, improving focus and energy. Preserves lean muscle mass over time. 2. Saunas and heat therapy, 2 to 3 times/week. Linked to 40% lower muscle loss in older adults. Reduces inflammation. Enhances circulation and recovery. 3. Intermittent fasting, 8 to 10 hour eating window. Improves insulin sensitivity. Stimulates autophagy, cellular cleanup. Boosts muscle cell performance by up to 10% in 12 weeks. No weight loss required, and here's a quiet secret. Even 5 to 10 seconds of isometric contraction, pushing or pulling against an immovable object, can mimic a full workout, signaling to your muscles, without the wear and tear. It's not about breaking your body. It's about whispering to it. We still need strength here. Stay sharp, let's be honest. When I tell my patients to try fasting or cold exposure, the first reaction is usually, "You want me to do what?" It sounds uncomfortable, extreme, maybe even dangerous. But that's the thing, hormetic stress only works because it's uncomfortable. Not painful, not prolonged, just brief, intentional challenge. In fact, too much will backfire. Chronic stress ages you. But short bursts? They revive you. It's the same principle behind how muscles grow. You tear slightly to build stronger. The same goes for your cells, your immunity, your hormones, your brain. If you're over 60, here's how I recommend introducing hormetic stress. Cold showers, start with warm water. Turn to cold for just 15 seconds. Build to 30 to 60 seconds over weeks. Saunas, if available, 2 to 3 times per week at moderate heat for 15 to 20 minutes. Fasting, begin with a 12-hour overnight fast. Stretch to 14, then maybe 16 if comfortable. Isometric holds, push against a wall with full force for 10 seconds. Breathe. Repeat. That's it. And always, consult your doctor before trying anything intense, especially if you have heart conditions or other chronic illnesses. Hormetic stress isn't trendy. It's ancient biology. Our ancestors didn't eat all day. They walked in cold air. They endured heat, hunger, strain, and their bodies adapted. We've lost that challenge. And now, we're losing the muscle that depends on it. Aging doesn't just shrink your muscles. It shrinks your comfort zone. Step outside it, just a little, and you'll be surprised what strength returns. In the next chapter, we'll dive into one of the most common mistakes I see in older patients, and most doctors never correct it. They eat protein at the wrong time. We'll explore how the same chicken breast can either build muscle or do nothing, depending on when you eat it. And how spreading your protein across the day might be the cheapest, easiest upgrade to your strength you'll ever make. Because it's not just what you eat. It's when, and how often, that turns nutrients into power. You can eat all the right things. But if you eat them at the wrong time, your body might not even notice. I remember sitting across from a patient named Robert, 74 years old, former engineer, sharp as ever. He looked frustrated. "Doc, I eat healthy. I get my protein. But I'm still getting weaker. What gives?" He wasn't exaggerating. His blood work was solid. His diet journal showed a solid intake of 80 grams protein per day. And yet, his grip strength, a key predictor of senior health, had declined 12% in 6 months. And then I asked him one simple question. When are you eating it? He blinked. What do you mean? At dinner. Mostly. There it was. Most people think muscle loss happens because we don't eat enough protein. But in reality, many seniors eat enough, just not at the right times. Here's the truth. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at using protein, a condition called anabolic resistance. That means what worked in your 30s, a big protein dinner after a light day, doesn't work anymore. Your muscles need regular reminders to grow, not a single shout at 7 p.m. Your body can only effectively synthesize protein for a limited time after a meal, usually about 3 to 4 hours. After that, the muscle building switch turns off, regardless of how much protein is still floating around in your system. Now imagine this. Most seniors eat a light breakfast. Maybe toast, a banana, coffee, then a modest lunch. Then finally load up at dinner. So essentially, they give their muscles one chance per day to grow. But science shows we need at least 2, ideally 3, protein hits per day to reverse age-related muscle loss. Let me tell you about Alice, 70 years old, retired librarian, and as disciplined as any Olympic athlete. She followed my advice to distribute her protein evenly. Breakfast, Greek yogurt plus eggs, 25 grams protein. Lunch, grilled chicken salad with chickpeas, 30 grams. Dinner, salmon, quinoa, and steamed spinach, 30 grams. No shakes. No supplements. Just smarter food choices. 12 weeks later, she had gained 1.2 pounds of muscle. No gym. No pills. She told me, "Doc, I didn't just get stronger, I feel sharper, more alive." That's the power of timing. The sad part? Most doctors don't talk about protein timing, not because it's unimportant, but because we were never taught it in school. Nutrition education and medical training is notoriously thin. And when it comes to how the aging body uses nutrients, we're decades behind the science. But that's changing. Studies from the University of Texas and the Mayo Clinic now confirm that evenly spaced protein intake leads to increased lean muscle mass, better balance, improved cognitive performance, enhanced insulin sensitivity, all without changing total calories. Here's the approach I teach my patients. 1. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. This is the sweet spot to trigger muscle growth in older adults. 2. Start with breakfast. Don't skip it. Make it count. Eggs, cottage cheese, protein oats, or a smoothie with Greek yogurt and chia seeds. 3. Pack protein into lunch, not just dinner. Legumes, fish, tofu, tempeh, lean meats. Rotate them. 4. Optional snack, a protein bar or shake between meals only if meals fall short. 5. Think in meals, not macros. This isn't about 80 grams protein a day. It's about 3 meals times 25 to 30 grams equals daily muscle medicine. This strategy does more than preserve biceps. Blood sugar control improves, no more post-lunch crashes or nighttime cravings, cognitive clarity sharpens, protein-rich meals help regulate neurotransmitters, appetite stabilizes, you feel fuller, longer, less snacking. It's incredible how many problems vanish when you get protein timing right. Food is information. Every bite you take sends signals: grow, repair, decline. And with age, we need those signals louder, clearer, and more often. If your muscles are the speakers, protein is the volume button. Turn it up, 3 times a day. Up next, we're diving into a nutrient over 80% of seniors are missing, and it's quietly sabotaging their strength, mood, and balance. It's not magnesium, not calcium. It's vitamin D, and its unsung partner, K2. You've heard about bones. But did you know vitamin D might be more important for your muscles than your skeleton? Let's talk sunshine, strength, and the silent deficiencies no blood panel ever warned you about. If protein is the builder, vitamin D is the switch that turns on the lights. After helping Alice optimize her protein intake across the day, something unexpected happened. She told me, "Doc, I feel stronger. But I'm still tired. I get dizzy sometimes. I'm not as steady on my feet as I hoped." Her strength was returning, but her balance, her energy, her confidence, were still fragile. So, I ordered a blood test. Her vitamin D level? 12 nanograms per milliliter. That's dangerously low. And sadly, it's also shockingly common. You probably think of vitamin D as a bone nutrient, something your grandma took to avoid osteoporosis. But few people realize vitamin D is just as critical for muscle strength, coordination, and balance, maybe even more so. And yet, Over 80% of older adults are deficient. Most have no idea. And worse, most doctors don't check for it unless you specifically ask. Why? Because the symptoms are quiet, subtle. You feel weak, foggy, maybe a bit unsteady, and it gets written off as just aging. But it's not aging. It's a lack of light, literally. Here's the reality. 1. Your skin's ability to convert sunlight to vitamin D drops by up to 50% after age 60. 2. You may avoid the sun, hat, sunscreen, shade, especially if you've been warned about skin cancer. 3. Modern diets lack D unless you're eating sardines, salmon, or fortified dairy every day. So even if you live in a sunny place, you can still be profoundly deficient. And your muscles know it, even before you do. Here's something most people don't know. Your muscle cells have vitamin D receptors. Without enough of it, your muscles can't repair efficiently. They lose responsiveness to growth signals. Balance deteriorates. Fall risk skyrockets. A landmark study in JAMA of Internal Medicine showed that older adults with optimal D levels had minus 25% greater muscle strength, faster reaction times, better coordination, lower hospitalization rates from falls. This isn't a bonus benefit. It's mission critical. Now, here's the twist. If you start supplementing vitamin D, especially in doses of 2,000 to 4,000 IU/day, you must also think about vitamin K2. Why? Because without K2, calcium, which vitamin D helps absorb, can end up in the wrong places, like your arteries, instead of your bones and muscles. It's not about how much calcium you absorb. It's about where it ends up. Vitamin K2 acts like a traffic cop. It directs calcium into bones and muscles, and away from soft tissues and arteries. Without K2, high-dose vitamin D can actually increase your risk of heart issues. Here's what I recommend. Ask for a blood test. Look for vitamin D levels above 40 nanograms per milliliter for optimal muscle function. Ideal dose. Most seniors need 2,000 to 4,000 IU/day, especially in winter or if not sun exposed. Pair with K2. Look for a D3 plus K2 supplement. The MK7 form of K2 is best absorbed. Eat smart. For D, fatty fish, cod liver oil, egg yolks, fortified dairy. For K2, natto, fermented soy, aged cheeses, grass-fed butter, egg yolks, liver. A little bit of sunshine, and the right nutrients to guide you can mean the difference between frailty and freedom. One of my favorite patients, George, 81, used to stumble when he stood up. He'd stopped golfing, walking the stairs, even playing with his great-grandkids. He thought it was just old age. After checking his D, it was 18, we built a plan. Minus 3,000 IU vitamin D3. Minus 100 micrograms K2, MK7, minus 20 minutes of midday sun. Egg yolks, salmon, Gouda cheese. 3 months later, George didn't just regain stability. He started walking 2 miles every morning. Alone. Doc, I feel like the ground came back under my feet. Vitamin D deficiency won't scream. It will whisper. It will fade your strength slowly. Blur your balance. Make you second guess your own body. But now you know better. This isn't just about vitamins. It's about restoring the foundation beneath your strength. Quiet doesn't mean harmless. And small doesn't mean unimportant. Coming up next, we'll uncover the most invisible threat to muscle that even healthy eaters and active seniors miss. Chronic, low-grade inflammation. It won't show up as swelling or fever, but it will silently eat away at your muscle, block protein absorption, and slow your progress even when you're doing everything right. Let's expose this hidden saboteur, and the daily habits that extinguish it. Not all threats come with warning signs. Some of the most dangerous enemies to your strength are the ones you can't feel at all. We've fortified your body with protein, empowered it with vitamin D, and awakened it with hormetic stress. But what if I told you? There's a silent fire burning inside millions of older adults. It doesn't cause pain. It doesn't cause fever. But it quietly steals your muscle, energy, and resilience, day by day. This is the hidden world of inflammation. You might picture inflammation as swelling after a sprain or redness from a cut. That's acute inflammation, a necessary, healing response. But what we're talking about is something else entirely. It's called chronic low-grade inflammation, and it's silent, systemic, and destructive. This kind of inflammation doesn't heal. It slowly erodes. And in aging bodies, it becomes a default state. As we get older, our immune systems become less precise. Instead of activating only when there's a threat, it starts leaking inflammatory signals constantly, like a leaky faucet that never shuts off. This triggers the release of cytokines, tiny chemical messengers that block muscle repair, dampen protein synthesis, and accelerate breakdown. A major study from Tufts University showed seniors with high levels of inflammatory markers lost muscle 3x faster, even with the same protein intake and activity level. In short, inflammation shuts down the very processes you're trying to build up. You can be eating right, moving daily, supplementing wisely. But if you don't control inflammation, it's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. So, where does this invisible fire come from? Poor sleep, irregular or shallow sleep raises cytokines by up to 40%. Gut imbalance, 70% of your immune cells live in your intestines. Unmanaged stress elevates cortisol, suppresses muscle growth. Sugar spikes, frequent blood sugar swings trigger systemic inflammation. Hidden sensitivities, foods that quietly irritate your gut lining, gluten, dairy, seed oils, and the worst part? You may feel fine on the outside, but inside, your body is fighting a quiet war every single day. Mr. Blake, 77, came into my clinic with decent habits. Ate well. Walked daily. Slept okay. But he was losing strength steadily. His legs felt weak, and recovery from even light exertion took days. His blood test revealed the culprit. High sensitivity C-reactive protein, HSCRP, 4.6 mg/L. That's over 4 times the healthy range. He was inflamed, and didn't even know it. We built a 90-day anti-inflammatory protocol. The results? CRP down to 0.8. Grip strength up. Brain fog gone. And his gait? Solid. Stable. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I feel younger, like my body's not fighting me anymore. Let's build your defense." 1. Sleep deeply and consistently. Aim for 7 to 9 hours. Go to bed and wake up at the same time. Use blackout curtains or a sleep mask. Avoid screens 1 hour before bed too. Heal the gut. Eat 30 plus different plant foods per week. Diversity feeds good bacteria. Add fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut. Avoid ultra-processed carbs and industrial oils. 3. Calm the fire with food. Focus on anti-inflammatory powerhouses. Omega-3s, salmon, sardines, flaxseed, chia, 2 to 3 grams daily. Turmeric, curcumin, potent cytokine reducer, berries and greens, polyphenols and antioxidants, olive oil, extra virgin only, rich in oleocanthal 4. Train, but don't overtrain. Moderate daily movement greater than excessive intensity. Just 2 sessions/week of short resistance training is enough. Mix in low impact cardio, walking, and flexibility work. Want to know your inflammation status? Ask your doctor for HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein, ideal, less than 1.0 mg/L, common in older adults, 2 to 5 mg/L, danger, greater than 5.0 mg/L. You don't have to guess. A tiny vial of blood can show you what your body's been hiding. Aging isn't about slowing down. It's about removing the friction that's slowing you down. And chronic inflammation is perhaps the most silent, most overlooked friction of them all. But now you see it. And now, you can fight it. You've heard of carbs, fats, and protein. But what about the micronutrients that quietly orchestrate every contraction, every recovery, every cell repair? In the next section, we'll talk about magnesium, creatine, vitamin B12, zinc, selenium, chromium, and more, because without these backstage workers, the show can't go on, no matter how great the script. Protein is the brick. Exercise is the architect. But without the right tools, the micronutrients, nothing holds together. When people think about muscle health, they almost always ask me the same questions. Am I eating enough protein? Am I exercising enough? Should I take a supplement? But rarely do they ask, am I getting enough magnesium? Is my B12 absorption okay? Do I have the trace minerals that support repair? And that's the problem. If macronutrients are the raw materials, micronutrients are the tools, technicians, and quality control managers. They don't just help build muscle. They determine whether your body can even use the protein you need in the effort you exert. A machine can't run if the screws are loose, the oil is low, or the circuits are fried. Your body works the same way. Lillian, 69, had been walking daily, eating well, and doing light resistance workouts. But she kept hitting a wall. Muscle cramps, restless legs, poor sleep, constant fatigue. We checked her magnesium. It was low. Not dangerously, but enough to impair muscle contraction, energy production, and recovery. After 8 weeks of magnesium-rich foods plus light supplementation, her strength improved. But more importantly, She slept better, and finally felt restored each morning. Let's walk through the ones most often missing. 1. Magnesium, the muscle's power tool, powers over 300 muscle-related biochemical reactions, regulates nerve impulses, contractions, energy conversion. Over 70% of older adults are deficient pushpin. Sources: leafy greens, spinach, chard, pumpkin seeds, almonds, beans, avocado pushpin. Supplements: magnesium glycinate, for sleep, magnesium citrate, for digestion. 2. Creatine, not just for bodybuilders, helps muscles store energy, especially during resistance exercise, supports cognition and brain energy. In seniors, 3 to 5 grams/day boosts lean mass, grip strength, and reaction time. Pushpin, best form, creatine monohydrate, pure, well-researched, pushpin, bonus, works even without workouts in many seniors. 3. Vitamin B12, the nerve muscle messenger, vital for nerve health, energy metabolism, and muscle signaling. Deficiency causes weakness, poor balance, memory issues, absorption drops with age, especially if taking metformin, PPIs, or have low stomach acid. Pushpin, best form, methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. Pushpin, sources, organ meats, eggs, dairy, or sublingual B12 for better absorption. 4. Zinc, selenium, chromium, the trace team. Zinc, supports immune strength and muscle repair. Selenium, powerful antioxidant, protects muscle from oxidative stress. Chromium, enhances insulin sensitivity, helps nutrients enter muscle cells. Pushpin, food sources: zinc, oysters, beef, pumpkin seeds, selenium, Brazil nuts, tuna, chromium, broccoli, grapes, whole grains. A Tufts University study found seniors with optimal trace mineral status preserve 22% more muscle mass over 5 years. Low micronutrients don't show up overnight. Instead, they show up as slower recovery, lingering fatigue, mood dips, brain fog, plateauing despite good diet and exercise. These are whispers, not shouts. But if you listen early, you can course correct long before frailty sets in. 1. Ask for a micronutrient blood panel, especially magnesium, B12, zinc, and selenium. 2. Track symptoms: frequent cramps, fatigue, dizziness equals red flags. 3. Prioritize food first, eat the rainbow. Variety is your ally. 4. Supplement smartly, choose quality brands, avoid megadoses unless prescribed, check interactions. If on medications, you can eat all the steak in the world. But without these backstage crew members, your stage will collapse. If strength is a performance, micronutrients are the lights, sound system, and supporting cast. Ignore them, and everything falls flat. Support them, and you amplify every rep, every meal, every step. You've strengthened your muscles from the outside in. Now, we flip the script. What if your nervous system is the real bottleneck? What if your brain can't find your muscles the way it used to? In the next chapter, we'll uncover the neuromuscular junction, why coordination-based exercise beats mindless reps, and how breathing, dancing, and memory games can build strength just as effectively as barbells, because strength isn't just physical, it's neurological. You don't just lose muscle as you age. You lose access to it. Earlier this year, I watched a video of an 84-year-old woman doing single leg squats with perfect control. Her muscles were lean, her form impeccable. But what struck me most wasn't her strength. It was her coordination, her balance, her timing. This wasn't just a fit body, it was a brain that could still find every inch of that body. And that's something most people forget. Strength isn't just what your muscles can do, it's what your brain can tell them to do. Every movement you make, from standing to walking to holding a pen, depends on one invisible connection. The neuromuscular junction, where your nerves meet your muscle fibers. Think of it as an electrical outlet. The brain is the power source. The muscle is the appliance. The junction is the plug. Now, imagine that plug starting to corrode with age. The power's still there. The appliance still works. But the signal? Flickers. Delays. Fails. That's what happens when you don't train the nervous system. You can do bicep curls, leg presses, even walk for miles. But if your neuromuscular connection is fading, you'll still feel off balance, clumsy, slow to react, weak in motion but fine in stillness. This is why some older adults fall not because they're weak, but because their brain didn't fire the signal fast enough. George, 72, came to me frustrated. I can still lift weights, doc, but when I play tennis, I miss the ball. My reaction's off. I feel disconnected. His muscles were strong, but his neuromuscular coordination? Slipping. We made a shift. Replaced one gym session a week with ping pong and Tai Chi. Added reaction drills, toss and catch, fast feet. Introduced vagus nerve breathing to restore parasympathetic tone. Within 2 months, George said, "It's like someone turned the lights back on in my body." 1. Train coordination, not just contraction. Muscle is not just about brute force, it's about timing. Try Tai Chi. Dance, yes, really. Tennis, table tennis, racquetball. Obstacle walks, step over drills, heel to toe balance. These activities light up your brain. They force neurons to fire faster, clearer, more accurately. 2. Stimulate the vagus nerve, your body's control cable. The vagus nerve connects your brainstem to your gut, heart, lungs, and muscles. It regulates calm, focus, and neuromuscular responsiveness. Try box breathing daily. Inhale 4 seconds. Hold 4 seconds. Exhale 4 seconds. Hold 4 seconds. Repeat for 5 minutes. Research shows this can improve neuromuscular activation by 15% in older adults. 3. Fuel the nerve muscle axis with nutrients. Alpha-lipoic acid protects against oxidative damage at the nerve junction. Acetyl-L-carnitine improves energy delivery and nerve signaling. Benfotiamine, vitamin B1, boosts nerve strength. Huperzine A enhances acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that fires your muscles. These aren't gimmicks, they're evidence-based allies in preserving your most precious asset, connection. 4. Keep the mind sharp, the body will follow. There's a reason puzzles, chess, and learning new skills correlate with better physical aging. Your cognitive networks overlap with your movement networks. Train your brain, and your muscle memory follows. One Columbia study found that older adults who learned a new language or instrument showed better balance and gait than their peers, even with no extra physical training. You were born with the ability to run, jump, twist, reach, spin. Age doesn't erase that, but neglect does. Use the connection. Or lose the access. That's why the strongest seniors aren't just the most muscular. They're the most coordinated, the most responsive, the most in tune with their own bodies. Coming up next, we'll explore the one habit that every superager swears by. Progressive strength training. Not powerlifting. Not gym rat stuff. Just the structured, intelligent, consistent resistance work that rewinds aging like nothing else. Because if you only keep one habit from this entire journey, let it be this one. If there were a drug that could reverse aging, rebuild muscle, sharpen the brain, improve balance, strengthen bones, and extend life, it would be resistance training. A woman once asked me in clinic, "Doctor, what's the single most important thing I can do to avoid the nursing home?" I didn't hesitate. Start lifting things, on purpose, and progressively. Let's be clear. You don't age because you get old. You age because you stop pushing against resistance. Muscle isn't just about vanity. It's your metabolic bank account. Your balance anchor. Your protection against fractures, falls, insulin resistance, depression, and even dementia. Yet by age 70, most people have lost 25 to 40% of their muscle mass, without even realizing it. Until it's too late. But here's the good news. Resistance training is the only proven intervention to not just slow, but reverse sarcopenia. Tom is 81. He started strength training at 75, after being told he had age-related frailty. 6 months in, climbed stairs without holding rails. Carried groceries with ease. Slept through the night. Increased muscle mass by 4 pounds. Reduced his blood sugar and got off 2 medications. He didn't run marathons. He lifted light weights. Progressively. Safely. Consistently. Resistance training tells your muscles, "We still need you. Don't go anywhere." It does this by triggering mechanotransduction, a fancy word for cells sensing pressure and responding with growth. Here's what happens. Satellite cells activate to repair and build tissue. Protein synthesis ramps up. Bone density increases. Neural drive improves, your brain talks to your muscles faster. A McMaster University study found that just 2 weeks of progressive training caused more muscle growth than 5 weeks of moderate cardio in older adults. And guess what? You don't need to lift heavy. You just need to reach muscle fatigue, that I couldn't do one more rep with good form feeling. That's where the magic happens. 1. Begin with body weight and bands. Chair squats. Wall push-ups. Resistance bands for rows or arm curls. Step-ups using stairs. 2. Use light weights, but train to fatigue. Do 3 sets per muscle group. Aim for 8 to 15 reps. Stop only when you can't maintain good form. 3. Train 2 to 3 times per week. No need for daily workouts. Focus on full body routines, legs, core, back, arms. 4. Slow down the eccentric, lowering phase. Lower weight slowly. Builds more strength with less strain. Enhances balance and control. 5. Progress every 1 to 2 weeks. Add a bit more weight. Or more reps. Or shorter rest. Progressive is the key word. Not aggressive. No problem. Resistance training doesn't have to mean gym machines or barbells. You can use water resistance in a pool. Use resistance bands sitting down. Use ankle weights while seated. Even use isometric holds. Pushing against an immovable object. A physical therapist or senior specialized trainer can guide you safely. There are even excellent online programs tailored to seniors that start from zero. Strength training doesn't just build biceps. It increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that boosts memory, learning, and neuroplasticity. Studies show that older adults who strength train have fewer depressive symptoms, score better on cognitive tests, are more confident, independent, and socially engaged. You are not too old. You are not too weak. You are not too late. One 12-week study found that people in their 80s gained over 3 pounds of muscle and increased strength by 35%, just from twice weekly progressive resistance training. If they can, so can you. And if you're already training, keep going. Your future self will thank you. In our final chapter, we'll step back from the science and look at the big picture. What do these 7 habits look like when lived? How do your daily choices ripple into the decades ahead? And how do you carry forward the belief that aging is a gift, if you treat it right? Because in the end, it's not just about longer life, it's about better years, better freedom, better you. The goal is not to add years to your life, but to add life to your years. I once sat across from a man in his early 80s. His name was Samuel. He was quiet, but steady. Thin, but not frail. Calm, but alive in the eyes. He said something I've never forgotten. I don't train to stay alive, Doc. I train so I can kneel down in the garden without help. So I can lift my great-granddaughter. So I can die someday, without feeling like I stopped living long before. That is what this journey is really about. Muscle is visible, tangible. But the changes you've made through these 8 habits go far deeper. You've strengthened your brain's connection to your limbs. You've calmed the inflammation burning inside. You've reclaimed the confidence to stand tall, steady, and proud. And perhaps most importantly, you've re-entered a conversation with your own body. Not through force, not through punishment, but through daily respect. What you do today might feel insignificant. A cold rinse. A breakfast with eggs instead of toast. 10 push-ups. A walk before dinner. 5 minutes of box breathing. Asking your doctor for a vitamin D panel. But these are not small. They're tiny acts of rebellion against the narrative that says aging equals decline. They are your body's vote for more life, more freedom, more you, in the years ahead. Last year, I received a handwritten letter. It was from a former patient, Marianne, 78, who had just returned from hiking Machu Picchu with her son and granddaughter. She had battled muscle loss, arthritis, and fatigue for years. We started her slow, with walking poles, protein shakes, breath work, and resistance bands. 3 years later, she sent me this. Doctor, I didn't go to Peru to prove I was strong. I went because I was tired of waiting for permission to live again. My legs still hurt sometimes. My joints aren't perfect. But when I looked at the sunrise over the Andes, I cried. Not because I made it. I cried because I realized, I still can. It's not the number on the scale, the number of reps, the vitamin D level, or the size of your biceps. The real goal is how you feel when you stand up unassisted. When you bend down with grace. When you hold someone's hand, not because you have to, but because you want to. When you walk into the years ahead. And feel prepared, not afraid. Every choice you make now, every meal, every stretch, every night of deep sleep, isn't just for you. It's for your children who need to see that aging can be vibrant. Your grandchildren who will one day ask, how did you stay so strong? The version of you 10 years from now, who will be grateful you didn't wait. Aging is not a breakdown. It's a transition into mastery, if you choose it. Let it be this. You do not need to chase youth. You need to build resilience. Because strength is not about size. It's about freedom. Freedom to move. Freedom to live on your own terms, freedom to wake up without fear of falling, freedom to say yes to new adventures, at any age, and that freedom begins today. We've explored 9 science-backed, story-grounded habits. But none of them matter without action. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a start. So pick one habit. Practice it today. Then another tomorrow. Because strength isn't built in grand gestures, it's built in ordinary days lived intentionally. And now that you know what's possible, don't settle for decline. Reach for vitality. You still can. You always could. Let's live like it. Right pointing finger. If this video sparked something in you, share it in the comments. Tell us, which habit surprised you the most? What small change are you starting today? Or share a story, someone in your life who's aging with strength, grace, and joy. You never know. Your comment might be the reason someone starts. Speech bubble, let's make this space a place of inspiration, not just information. Thumbs up, and if this message spoke to you, please take a second to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. We're building a community here, a movement of older adults, and those who love them, who believe that aging can be vibrant, strong, and full of life. And you? You belong right here with us. Thank you for being part of this journey. We're just getting started. Flexed biceps, herb.